We have also, we're trying to move away from using paper and doing digital. What we have is, and that's going to, in the renovation and moving into the new facility, wherever that is, they initially wanted to increase the size of my office tremendously in the new facility, the plan they had. And I told them that they needed to at least eliminate 500 to 600 square feet. And they said, you're going to need space to grow. And I said, no, because we're going to take some of those those land records that we have on paper, and we're going to scan them, make them digital, and that's going to be less square footage that we're going to have. So I told them, I said, we just don't need that. That's a long-range plan that will save lots of money for the county, because not only are you going to have to build that 500 square foot, you're going to have to heat it, you're going to have to maintain it, and we just don't want to do that. It's just smart business. My job is, we have particular things we have to do that are within the parameters of my job. We're mandated to do. But at times I have the option of extending our services outside the parameters of what's mandated. And the first thing I look at is cost-benefit analysis. For example, we established a tax preparation program using students through the accounting department at Henry College at the Appalachian Center. We've had that for 6 years. It's saved, at $50 per tax preparation, we've estimated it's saved citizens, the neediest citizens probably, $150,000 in tax preparation. We have, for example, one year we had seniors that had to have their 1040A form filled out before they could get their stimulus money. We filled out over 1,000 households, senior citizens. Our estimate was that generated approximately between $350,000 and $400,000 into Smith County. We sat down and crunched the numbers, looking at it from a cost-benefit analysis. Our cost for our office for that program was less than $1,000. It was just the smart thing to do. We're not mandated to do it, but when you put a pencil to paper and you're thinking about the citizens that you're serving, it's just the smart thing to do. A lot of folks don't know we process 8,000 state income tax returns. If someone has a refund and it's less than $500 this year, and their status didn't change, marital status, address, or anything else, they're actually better off sending it to our office than sending it to Richmond. 2 reasons. One, we review every return. If we find errors, we notify the taxpayer. We always have every year what we call our grand prize winner, who we find the biggest error. Our biggest grand prize winner ever was a fellow from Saltville. He thought he was paying $1,200 and he ended up getting $1,200 back. That was a $2,400 turnaround. He was a happy man. But what we also do is, with the tax program that we do like that, if they send it to us through the rapid refund, what we're able to do, if their status hasn't changed, we can key it into the computer system into Richmond. And that means that they start cutting the check before their return even gets to Richmond. They may get a return with as quick as 4 or 5 days, their check back, their refund check. Sometimes we're an advocate for the taxpayer with the Department of Taxation, if need be. We had a woman live between Mary and Shelhowie one year, and she had received these letters from the Department of Taxation. Her husband had set up an annuity. An insurance agent convinced her to change it into another annuity. The Department of Taxation viewed that as a rollover. She eventually was getting these lovely tax bills from the Department of Taxation for $5,000. It took us a month and a half to get it straight, but eventually she didn't have to pay it. Sometimes it works out that well, sometimes it doesn't, but we're at least willing to give it a shot. We administer senior citizen tax relief programs, land use programs, and so forth. But again, those are just some of the things we do. And myself as commissioner, we have a very small staff, 3 folks and myself. I get to be in the trenches. Let's just put it that way. If anybody ever walks through my office, into my office, the first person they get to see is me, because I'm straight ahead. And so and that's the way it should be. And one of the best things about my job is, and I know people are going to say, you've got to be kidding, I get to meet a lot of nice people. And 9 times out of 10, if I can sit down with an individual, they're going to either having me have an moment where I better understand something, or they're going to understand something better when we have the conversation. because I know for sure that no matter how much you do or how much homework you do, you're never going to know every answer. No way. I used to teach night school, and it was 1989, and I was teaching a fellow who's in my night school coming back getting his high school diploma. And it was truly a lesson in humility. He asked the big question. It was in October, November of '89. He said, Jeff, he said, when do you think that Berlin Wall's going to fall? And I was a history major and kind of felt myself as pretty knowledgeable. And in my infinite wisdom, I said to him, oh, that's going to be years, at least a decade. And he said, no, I think it's going to be a lot sooner. And I reassured him I was right. 5 days later, the Berlin Wall fell. So no matter how much you know or you think you know, at all times you better sit down and listen to the other fellow, because there just may be that real possibility you're wrong. And you're always better off sitting down and listening and going into it with an open mind.
Good questions, straight ahead answers. We appreciate that. We're talking to Mr. Jeff Richardson, Commissioner of Revenue for Smith County. This question comes in and says, what is the amount of money needed to run our county efficiently? Now, I know you said we had an $89 million budget. The efficiently word is tacked onto this question. How much extra tax is needed for a surplus? How is the money divided up? Is there a way to spread the money out a little differently?
That, Blake, is a great question. And I don't know that I'm qualified to answer it, to be honest with you, because those are questions that are within the Board of Supervisors. I think every taxpayer has a right to know that their monies that they pay are going to be spent efficiently. I know that the folks that I work with in other areas, we have to work with a lot of folks. We work with folks in the towns. We work with IT personnel up in the county. We have to have discussions with board members. And I can say sincerely that the vast number of folks that I work with are there trying to do their job and do it well. And in terms of the particulars about budgeting and the division of the monies, that's not within the realm of what I do. What I can address is this efficiency level. My family has really, anyone who knows me, my uncle in particular, I have an uncle who just loves to give me a hard time. He informs me that I am notoriously either tight or thrifty. I've always been that way. And I know for my office, I can speak for my office, for example, is that I try to do that same thing with my budget that I have in my office. I'm tight. And if I have a firm policy that when we get our budget, I ask for what I think we're going to need. And after I get my budget, we are trying to, honestly, and I've always done it, we've always cut corners. And I was kind of curious about it and recently gathered some information. I called up to the county building because all of it's on record. And I asked in terms of budgeted items that I had in my budget, the monies that we had to spend.